welcome into The Hop, a craft beer podcast.
Yes.
You've found us. Relax, have a seat, settle in, cozy up. We're going to New Hampshire this week, people.
We're finally going to New Hampshire for beer. I've been to that state a few times. It's fun. I don't remember much, but I think this is the first episode for New Hampshire beer. This was some beer we found, I believe, in that giant store in Springfield.
We found it in Massachusetts, but it is, I think you're right. I think it is our first New Hampshire beer, which New Hampshire's a weird state and a beautiful state. I've spent a good amount of time there.
Vermont's cousin.
It's Vermont's weirder cousin.
Yeah.
But live free or die. And
why not?
They have apparently some great beer. This is just the most New England episode you're ever gonna find. Like if you're on YouTube, we're going to Moat Mountain Brewing. We should probably say the name of the place.
Moat Mountain.
Out of Mount Washington Valley, so it's near Mount Washington. And if you're on YouTube, you can see behind me guy in flannel and a trucker hat, tight little space, mugs on the wall. Everything you're looking for out of a New England brewery.
Wow.
Mostly the flannel.
Where's your flannel, Steven? Come on.
Yeah, Steven doesn't flannel. Steven doesn't.
I got
Steven
flannel
doesn't
in
do
here
flannel.
somewhere. I don't know. I'll find it later.
But it's a great brewery. We got 3 beers from them, and we were super pumped to find this. So we're back in New England, but it's a state we haven't visited before.
Pumped.
Let's get into it, people. How you feeling, Gabe? You ready for this?
I am ready for this. This is one of those episodes where we're going to split off for beers. We haven't done that in a while. I saw one beer. I said, I'm getting this. Steven saw one beer. He said, I'm getting this. And then our first beer that we're going to drink is together. So we're ready to have some fun. Thank you for joining us. We're all over the social medias. Where can they find us, Steven?
Well, since you've asked, way to tee me up, Gabe. At the HO Podcast is where you can find us on the Instagram and the Twitters. We are very active on there. We love engaging with people, all of the breweries that have hit us up, all of the fellow podcast makers that have hit us up. We love it. We love engaging with people, seeing people's pictures of beer. I saw a beer today that was purely green. It was a Yoda beer, and it was green, and it looked like a green beer from St. Patty's Day, but it was like craft, and it was good.
It was like, no, this is just how it always is. Totally.
We love that stuff. So engage with us on social media. You can also find the show on Facebook and YouTube. We are a video podcast, as I alluded to. Search for The Hop, a craft beer podcast on there. You can see our faces. You can see the cans. You can see the can art. You can see the brewery. You can see Gabe's ukulele hiding in the background. Whatever may appeal to you. We are also going to say hello to the new people. If this is your first time with us, my name is Stephen Humes, and that is Gabriel Priya, and we drink craft beer, if you haven't figured that out by now. So welcome to it. And I think that's all I have to say on that front.
Thank you for joining us. Let us know what breweries to hit up next. Let us know what breweries to repeat. Let us know if you have flannel, because apparently we're slacking. We are here for you guys, or not. Whatever. Whatever works.
You can also send an email to the show if you're interested in getting in touch with us, want to make beer recommendations, want to make brewery recommendations. It's thehopod@gmail.com, so that's where you can hit us up over there. Gabe, we got to talk some news.
Yes, we do.
Beer news.
This may be one of the best highlights ever.
Weathered Souls has announced that their Black is Beautiful initiative to date has raised $2.2 million.
Hell yeah.
That deserves, I don't know if yay was, I really wanted the DJ air.
I got you.
I couldn't find it. Oh, there it goes. That's better.
$2.2 million. That is incredible. We did that episode. We had 5 of them. Not only is it for a good cause, but the beer's dope.
Yeah, we had a great time doing that. It was our Thanksgiving episode. If you missed it, it was round 48. And I drank a Black is Beautiful like 2 days ago. Every time I'm in a beer store and I see one, I grab at it because it's just, it's a cause that I feel passionate about and I love it. So Weathered Souls, really started something with that. So it's incredible. Also, elsewhere in the world, Ball Corporation has said that cans are going to remain allocated into the summer. If you haven't followed along with this story, we talked about it a lot towards the middle of last summer that there's a can shortage, and so it's affected breweries, but we still keep getting beer in cans. So hopefully we'll be fine, but that is still going on.
Recycle, people. It's no joke. We need to drink. We need to keep drinking out of these dope cans.
Bring the cans back to the beer, back to the breweries if you can. All right, we have to talk about some unfun shit again. Let's start with Brewdog. For me, this started on Twitter. I ran into a Twitter thread from the Brewdog news. These are people that on Twitter basically cover Brewdog and what Brewdog is. If you're unfamiliar with Brewdog, they are a Scottish craft brewery that quickly grew into one of the largest food and drink companies in the UK. They have an outpost in the US. They're huge and they grow really quickly. The BBC has covered them, done like a documentary on them. CNN was covering them, but they're in the middle of some intense accusations at the moment. James Watt is the company's president, and he responded on social media after a group of employees that calls themselves Punks with Purpose, quote unquote, that's the name of their group. They circulated a letter calling out the company for a toxic, harmful work environment. More than 75 former employees signed the letter, and an additional 45 employees said they did not feel safe including their names or their initials on the letter. Now, back in March, Brewdog faced a justified backlash after they fired 4 employees, all members of the LGBTQ community, all women, from their Indianapolis taproom. They fired 4 women on International Women's Day, which just
that's just a slap in the face on so many levels.
It's just so unbelievable.
That's crazy.
And they claimed that they wanted a, quote, change in culture. I don't even know where to begin with that.
Yeah, like what? It was already a change in culture. What do you...
Now, an investigation was undertaken. It found that there was no evidence of discrimination, but the bottom line is the optics of it are horrible. And I think that pretty much holds true for everything about Brewdog. Their response to this letter that was posted, which it calls them out for a toxic work environment, it says, a lot, that Brewdog just basically stands on the shoulders of junior employees and makes them feel at best unappreciated, at worst in, threatened and danger. I mean, just uncomfortable at work. And they just have I don't know how else to say it, a toxic work environment. This includes sexual harassment, which we've been talking about a lot, but it includes a lot of other things too. I don't know, it just seems like a boys club or something, and it just for no reason. It's just this intense environment, apparently, at Brewdog. Which,
yeah, that's rough. That's
at one point the company prided themselves on, in a way, but now these employees have called them out. So James Watt posted a statement on social media kind of responding to it. He said, and I'm quoting from the letter now, "As a fast-growing business, we've always tried to do the best by our team. We have thousands of employees with positive stories to tell, but the tweet we saw last night proves that on many occasions we haven't got it right." He did say that we are not interested in contesting the details of the letter, but we're trying to listen, to learn, and act. However, Brewdog also issued a letter or memo to their internal staff, basically asking the staff to stand with the brewery, calling the letter a, quote, threat to all of our livelihoods. And the memo says, "We cannot remain quiet when we know that creating a public perception of Brewdog as a bad place to work could potentially jeopardize job security." So the tweet that caught my eye was from Brewdog News, like I said, and basically Brewdog News said, "We're taking a break because Brewdog needs to get their house in order." It goes on and on to just call out the brewery, not only for the letter, but the response, which is just, that's the part that's mind-blowing to me, is like this letter comes out and Brewdog responds by saying, "We're listening to you," but also...
But back up.
Yeah, also calling on their employees to... At one point, Brewdog, they said that the former employees were, quote, ballsy to
Yeah,
publish a letter like this.
That's just so disrespectful. Like
it's just such a like the response is like what's really mind blowing. So I mean, you can read more about it.
You have former employees who are too afraid to sign a paper, and you're, that's a sign, man. Wake up.
You can read more about it on Twitter. You can read more about it on Brewbound and other articles like that. As usual, our show doesn't have the space really to go into this in depth, but there's a lot to it. It's pathetic. Brewdog needs to get it together big time. I would say a change of management is in order, and Brewdog will not be on our show anytime soon.
There is a new president of Duvel Morcott. Kind of snowballing off of the toxic workplace environment. Like we said, it's not fun, but we're going to talk about it because everyone has a right to know and deserves to know. Their Belgian parent company has named a new president of Duvel USA that they hope will right the ship. This is, Saraf Desmet.
That's how I would say it. Sure.
Saraf Desmet. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. I'm sure I am. He's going to take over the position, which will allow John McDonald to return to retirement. McDonald originally took it over from Jeff Crum, who resigned in January in the mid-scandal regarding Boulevard.
Yeah.
So he's taken over. He served as the Chief Finance and Administration Officer for Duvel Morcott since December of 2013. Prior to joining, he served as CFO at Linnaeus, a Belgian rail freight company, and as Associate Principal at McKinsey & Company, a consultancy. He holds a Master's of Business Administration degree from the University of Chicago. Again, Saraf Desmet, so sorry. Good luck. Let's right the ship together. Hopefully you can get something done because as you can see, not looking great.
And snowballing off of that, one more.
Man.
Stick with us, guys. We have to report on this stuff. An external investigation into the Cicerone certification program has concluded. If you're not familiar, the CCP is a Chicago-based organization that offers beer education and Cicerone certification. Gabe and I are not Cicerones, but maybe someday we'll think about it.
We're working on it.
So, an employee has resigned after this investigation. The CCP retained the services of Hartrick Employment Law to investigate a 2013 incident. The employee has not been named, but according to the complaint, which, by the way, started on Brienne Allen's Instagram at RatMagnet, as so many of this has, the employee apparently, quote from the accuser, approached pretty much every female coming out of the bathroom to go and have sex with him in the men's bathroom during an event on December 7th, 2013 at a brewery partner of Cicerone. So the CCP, this certification program, was at a brewery, and this employee of the CCP was conducting himself this way. The behavior was reported to the brewery's HR department. They reported it back to the Cicerone. The employee was subsequently placed on a 6-month probation. They then issued an apology to the brewery staff. And according to this investigation, that was sort of a standalone incident with that employee. But it is also true that this incident does not stand alone at the Cicerone program. There are other reports of sexual harassment, unwanted advances, different things like that have been dealt with over the years. So this investigation has concluded that specific employee, who again is going nameless, has resigned, and the investigator has offered a number of recommendations going forward, including additional harassment training, improved complaint reporting and investigative processes, and also the use of outside firms when necessary. So again, the CCP, get your house in order, man. And really, if anybody is listening to this and you work at a brewery, if this could stop happening, it would be appreciated.
For real. It just sucks that every week when we report on this, it's like, okay, now this guy, now this person, now this company, now this company. It's like, guys, stop adding to the list. Please, dear God.
Yeah. So
it's horrible.
Shout out to all the people that have given voice to this pandemic problem.
Yeah.
All right. Let's shake it off. Let's drink some beer about it. Gabe, you have a toast for us.
I do have a toast. This Saturday, June 19th, is Juneteenth. We felt as though it would be proper to commemorate it. Now, our episodes drop on Thursday. That's going to be on Saturday. We felt as though, and I especially felt as though I wouldn't be able to give the right words toward quoting someone or coming up with someone. So we're going to kind of do what we did last year. Last year we had Maya Angelou's voice. This year we are having a slam poems voice. His name is Ben Aragbaye. He is also a voice actor. So this was another thing that kind of drew him toward me. Steve and I were actors. And so we felt as though we could give the floor to Ben. This is a slam poem in honor of Juneteenth. It is called Words for You. Ben, take it away.
American history is mandatory, but Black history is optional. Black literature, a prop for show. Look at how they've accommodated as we play along. With common outdated topics like slavery doesn't exist, it's been whited out. Well, don't I feel liberated? But I don't know freedom. Freedom. Do you know me? Am I important to you? Or just an affirmative act? Can I freely talk while still being Black? And will you understand me as I speak rhythmic words that beats on your uncomfortable conscience? Listen to me, freedom, because I have words for you. Black words with a deep melanin tone that do not atone for just existing. Words that are scarred and whipped and chained only to break loose with a strong hand and a fervent prayer. Words from the past, reverb, bouncing off every corner, surrounding you. Words that are real and cannot be whited out. Because the color always bleeds through. Words with a history that is equal. So please do not try to separate it. I am not an option. I am concrete. I am finite. I am mandatory. And you deserve to know me. You deserve to know Juneteenth. And I deserve to know freedom.
Ben Aragbaye, voice actor, poet. Beautiful words when he said, I am mandatory. That was the moment that I said, oh yeah, here we go. We're doing this.
Yeah, the bottom line is that poem celebrates Juneteenth in a way that nothing we could ever say ever will. That is powerful stuff, people.
Powerful stuff.
So we're gonna grab a beer about it. That's what we're gonna do.
Let's do that.
Alrighty, so we're kicking things off with the Boneshaker Brown Ale. It's been a while since we had a brown ale on the show, and I am pumped for this one. It is 5.4% ABV. IBUs are at 30. Beer Advocate has it at 86. Untapped has it at 3.63. And just to say it again, we're at Moat Mountain Brewing Company in Mount Washington Valley, New Hampshire. And
look at this guy.
Look at it.
So it's hard to tell on camera. It's very, very brown, but to us, it's got like a red hue to it. So it's kind of looks like wood. It looks incredible.
It's lighter than you might think it's going to be. It's it is dark brown in the middle of it, but the outside, the light behind it and everything, it has a nice sort of reddish or even gold copper hue to it.
If you hold it up to the light, it's like a ruby. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's
don't spill it.
Really purty. On the SRM chart, I would probably put it around definitely in the 20s. I would say maybe 27 or 8 or 9, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So from the brewery, they say, our English-style brown ale has a fine balance between malt and hops. Wonderfully light on the palate, it has a smooth biscuit-like malt body with a lingering semi-dry finish. Aromas and flavors include toasty grains, nuts, chocolate, and caramel.
Can you drink this?
I can drink it. It's
you hit nuts, and I thought,
well, if that would be an epic end to the podcast.
Oh, God.
That would be an epic finale on round 77 of mid-episode.
Going out like a champ. Chug.
The hops in here are German Tettnang, Chinook, and East Kent Goldings. The malts are Bavarian Pilsner malt, caramel malt, chocolate malt, and flaked barley. And the yeast is American ale yeast.
Great head retention. This was like, I poured it correctly, and even I had to take a second and wait for the foam to go down. And right now, I think I can speak for both of us when I say a ring around the glass about an inch thick.
I wouldn't say an inch, maybe like a centimeter.
Oh, that's what I mean, centimeter. Yeah.
But it's got a little pillow of sort of Guinness-like foam almost. It's dense, it's tan, it's nice and frothy, and there's looks like some pretty sweet lacing to it, which I'm excited about. I'm pumped for this. I love a brown ale. I love a red ale. These are styles that Gabe and I are big fans of.
And I don't have it a lot, so it's
exactly.
Good,
They're kind of hard to find.
The podcast forces me, quote unquote, to drink this beer. So it's like, oh, we have to do a brown ale. Twist my arm.
Yeah, it's nice. It's just a refreshing difference from the IPAs that we often have, and it's not as like hard to the left as it's sort of like an ale meets a lager, and I like it very much. The nose, toasted grain and malt, yes. Spicy hops, yes, but it's subtle and clean. Mm-hmm. There's like a bit of like cream or something. It's like it's very subtle.
Is soft the right word?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's not like toasted grain, like putting your nose in like an imperial stout. You know what I mean? It doesn't smell like espresso. It smells like...
I am getting a little bit of chocolate. I'm not getting chocolate. I'm getting chocolate malt. And I feel like that's very specific. Like, it's very malty. It's got like that strong malt presence backbone. And then, as you know, you read it in the description, toasty grain, nuts, chocolate, and caramel. I feel like a little more toffee than caramel, but chocolate malt, which is interesting.
Yeah, and then as I smell it, I am getting a little bit of berry notes too, a little bit of subtle like raspberry as I sit with it. Malt is definitely the first thing. And there's a sweetness too. Maybe some molasses, which is nice.
Well,
we got 3 to do. We might as well get moving here.
Here we go. Soft is definitely the right word. Beautiful brown ale. Classic. It's soft, as I said, easy going down. It's not rich in the mouth, but it's like a little bit of creaminess and full in the mouth. I feel like you know what you're drinking. I feel like blind taste test, you and I immediately would either say like brown ale or something else in the family. I really enjoy it. The malt presence. Now I'm getting the caramel for sure off the taste.
Yeah, I think it's sweet when you take your first sip. Sweet bread, some caramel, definitely toasted bread. I mean, it's a toasted malt, not a roasted malt, if that makes sense to you.
Correct. Yes.
It's like not chocolate coffee necessarily, but it is definitely roasted, slightly burnt, but not charred. There's a sweetness to it. There's a little bit of fruitiness.
It's like the burnt popcorn scenario you give sometimes, like not burnt, but like well done.
Yes, a little bit of a little singe, if you will.
It's good.
And to your point, I think it's mouthfeel wise, it's dry. Some bitterness. I mean, I think there's a pepperiness to the hops. The carbonation is moderate, but it's definitely thick. It's definitely creamy, and it's an English style brown ale, which I think is important here. It's refined. It's subtle. It's balanced.
Brits
it's an
do
easy drinker.
Better.
Brits do everything better, except dental hygiene. But, but it's really, I mean, it's 5.4% ABV, so it's an easy drinker, but it doesn't compromise on flavor. There's a lot going on here. You get some hop, you get some malt, you get that interplay, the balance going on.
Yeah.
Nothing kind of takes over. I think what's interesting about it to me is that the first sip is like, oh yeah, sweet caramel, some toasted bread. And then as you keep drinking it, it gets more and more bitter because you sit with it longer.
Yeah, I agree. I was just going to say, I feel like it's kind of like what my mouth does when I have a sour. Like, first sip is, ooh, pucker, and then I get used to it. I think with this, I got used to the sweetness, and then so the bitterness started coming forward because on sips 1 and 2, I didn't feel the bitterness in the back end. Sips 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I am tasting it a little bit, but it's pleasant. I like it.
It's those East Kent Golding hops, I think. It's that like peppery sort of biting bitter thing. And maybe some of the Tetnang.
Tetnang. Tetnang and that there brown ale. It's really good. I like it. I'm pumped. I got another one.
Now, if you're on YouTube, you can see the can, which is a guy on a bicycle.
Look at that man just killing it.
The Boneshaker, this is the Boneshaker Brown Ale. The Boneshaker was named for the first type of true bicycle with pedals, and according to Wikipedia, that refers to the extremely uncomfortable ride, hence Boneshaker, it would shake your bones, which was caused by the stiff, wrought iron frame and wooden wheels surrounded by tires made of iron, hence Boneshaker.
I feel like in New York City, I could see someone riding one of these down the street like tomorrow.
Just like...
Yeah, and it's like, they got like a handlebar mustache and they're just like in the wind, just like, I'm on my bike. It's like, all right, what are you trying to prove?
It's New York. Get off the bikes. I'm afraid to bike in New York. It's not my...
Apparently, city bike is the way to go. Everyone's been telling me about it, and I have more and more friends that are like, oh yeah, I'll like never take the subway again. And I'm like, listen, I don't like the subway either, but biking, like that's an exercise.
I just don't trust myself. I feel like I'm going to get in some intense accident with a cab or something.
I feel like the bike lanes in New York City are suggestions, but whatever. Let's talk about how the fact that we should probably go to New Hampshire soon.
I guess so, because this is a brewery / smokehouse. Excuse me? Yes. Thank you very much. Yeah, that sounds delightful.
Let me say this right away. This is one of those places where you either go for the beer or you go for the food, or if you're like us, you'll probably go for both. But I feel like this is definitely one of those places where if you're like, well, I don't drink beer, but I'm going to go here because the food is good, like 100%.
They opened in 2000. They are a 174-seat brew pub, restaurant, and inn located in a historic building. If you look at it, it's very New England. Again, it's an old historic building. It looks like a bed and breakfast, but just you wait, there's a brewery inside. And they also have some other locations. They restored Limmer Barn in Intervale, New Hampshire, which is where I think the main brewery barn kind of cannery situation is. They opened that in 2013.
Yeah.
So that provides the year-round availability of many of the brews, including the one that we're drinking now. Mm-hmm. And they do still brew at the Smokehouse, which is where they do more of their specialty stuff.
The owner is Steven Johnson. He's a chef by trade. He pursued his love of craft beer, and now we're drinking it. So thank you, Steven Johnson, for your hard work and dedication.
And good job spelling your name, Steven Johnson. Well done. That's the right way to do it.
Same way you do, doesn't he?
He sure does. You can see the brewery behind me. Again, it's very small. It was kind of hard to find pictures of the bar itself, but you can kind of see it with like the tap lines here. They got a mug club going on. And then, just some
Mr. Flannel behind you.
Dudes in flannel over here, but it's pretty tight. And then, the restaurant area is more open dining room, but the bar itself is pretty small. And like right behind it is where they brew. Like literally right behind this wall, you can see the tanks and stuff. So the brew pub, which is what's behind me, that is home to 6 fermenters and 6 bright tanks along with a 7-barrel system. So it's pretty small. And then the brewery barn and cannery that I mentioned, that is home to 15 fermenters, a 20-barrel system, some horizontal lagering tanks, some bite tanks, different stuff like that. I love
when breweries provide this information because it's definitely an aspect of the beer world that I don't know too much about. Anytime I go on a brewery tour, I love learning about all of the tanks, and this is where we make the lager, this is where we make the IPA, so it's the stuff like this that, I mean, you could learn something.
Yeah, and this is, I think this is different from a lot of the breweries we've done before. It just has a different feel to me. It just feels much more down home, or much
I was going to say homey, yeah.
Yeah, it feels much more like a bed and breakfast. Like, I don't know how else to say it.
Apparently there's an inn, so I guess if you get too wasted, you can crash for the night.
Upstairs.
That's a brilliant idea. I need to rent a room. Yes,
and then
of
course
sir.
They have this cannery. Like, they have to have a larger production facility, right? But it's just so New England. Like, even that, if you look at it, it's set in the mountains. You just want it to be snowing when you're there. And it just,
people go skiing. They get to the bottom. They grab a beer and some barbecue. I mean,
what could be wrong with that?
That's an A1 day right there.
Now, the brewery says, and I'm quoting from their website, our specialty craft beers are distributed across Maine, Massachusetts, and of course New Hampshire for everyone to enjoy in the majority of our New England home. Time out. We got a bone to pick now.
Okay.
Maine, Massachusetts, and New Hampshire. The majority of New England?
Yeah, no, wrong.
You left out 50% of the states. You left out exactly 3 states.
I feel like this brewery they just wanted to say these are just the ones that matter to us.
Yeah, excuse me.
These are the ones that are important.
What I'll give you is, I guess, if you have Maine involved, by definition, you do have a majority of the New England land.
The distant, yeah.
So I'll give you that.
Maybe that. I don't know. But
also, how'd you get your beer into Maine before getting it into Vermont? You couldn't cross that border. It's literally right next door.
I feel like it's one of those situations where it's like, well, this guy, he's a majority shareholder and he lives in Maine or something. I don't know, something like that.
You have a lot of competition in Vermont. I mean, Vermont craft beer is there's a lot going on there. But wherever you can get, I mean, we went to Massachusetts and grabbed it, and it is so far. I'm very happy, and I'm happy we stumbled upon this place because
oh my God, I was just about to say I still can't get over this place we went to. We thought it was like a giant Stop and Shop, and we were like, it's just like groceries, and we were like, oh no, it's all alcohol.
Yeah, picture your local Kroger grocery store, like your big grocery store where you get the majority of your things, and then make believe that it was that big a space, but it was all wine and beer,
all booze. Yeah,
that place is insane. But so we were able to get our hands on this Moat Mountain, and I'm really happy we did, because like I said, it just feels different. It feels very homey and homemade, and I love that we have a brewery owned by a Steven with a PH. So.
We need a Gabriel next. Very, very quickly, because we don't have a tremendous amount of time, I just want to talk about some of the organizations that they support and partner with. The Valley Originals, they are a restaurant organization. Conway Area Humane Society, committed to the animal and human bond. Harvest Hills Animal Shelter, Mount Washington Observatory, Sherman Farm, and so many others. Young Maple Ridge Sugar House. I mean, they partner with all these places, and they, are all about giving back and serving the community. What's better than that? We love to see that, especially in regards to community, or if the brewery is having a green initiative, we love to report on that. And all of that info is on their website. So check it out.
So we have 2 more beers to do, so we got to move this along. Do you want to offer any final thoughts on the brown ale?
Yes, I think it's great. I think it's awesome. I think it's been a while since I've had a brown ale, and this is definitely one of those beers that reminds you, oh yeah, this is a dope style. Love the... I'm going to be honest, I'm not really getting a lot of hard flavor, but I'm still enjoying it because it is, I do taste the malt, I do taste, the backbone, and I do taste the subtle soft sweetness. Simile, I do think it is great, and it's you don't have to be like, oh, this tastes like this tastes like this to enjoy a beer. You know what I mean?
I'm hung up on simile. Did you mean alliteration?
I just looked for another S word. That was just the first thing that came to mind.
There was no simile. I didn't hear one or as.
Yeah, I know. I know. It's just the first S word that came in my head, and I was just like, keep it going.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's really what I love about a brown ale is it's really well balanced. You get an interplay of hops and malt. You get sweet, you get bitter, you get a whole lot of things happening in your mouth. It is an easy drinker. It's an easy drinker that doesn't compromise on flavor, as opposed to like a session ale, which is like it's an easy drinker, but sometimes they can be a little flat to me. The brown ale style is one that has a lot more flavor in it, and this one it's not an in-your-face brown ale. It's an English brown ale, which to me is very proper. It's a very proper brown ale.
Yeah, proper brown ale, yeah, all right.
Oh, you made it Cockney.
I went there. I always go there.
But we have two more, and
we're splitting off. Who's going first?
I think you are.
All right, so it's my turn. So for those of you who know me and have listened to other episodes, you know I love this style coming up. We got a blueberry ale. I'm blue, so pumped. Yeah. Blueberry ale. It made it on the show again. Here we go. It's one of my favorite styles. This is the Miss V's Blueberry Ale. It is American style unfiltered ale. The brewery describes it as a fruit beer. It is one of their year-round selections. It looks and sounds incredible. Let's do it. 4.9%, 16 IBUs. Beer Advocate gave it an 82. Untapped gave it a 3.52. From the brewery. Our naturally flavored American ale, we use 90 pounds of wild Maine blueberries in every brew with our original process of adding the steam-extracted juices post-fermentation. Our intent has always been beer first, fruit second. The results showcase a remarkable crisp, light beer with a mild fruit flavor. The malts are Bavarian Pilsner malt, wheat and flaked barley, Columbus hops, and American ale yeast. And on the SRM chart, it's unfortunately not blue. I would love it to be, but it never is. It is a deep orange. I might call this hazy. You can't see through it. It looks a little darker on camera than it is.
It's unfiltered, like they said, so that makes sense. Yeah,
totally. Good head retention. A lot of foam when I poured it. Right now, about a small centimeter, but that looks like a pillowy. I don't know if you can see it on camera. Looks like a pillowy head. So on the SRM chart, I'm gonna give this. It's like a 9, 10-ish. That range, depending on the light, depending on the chart.
Yeah, from here it looks like a solid 9 or 10. I would say. But
every review I read was like, rightfully so, blueberry. Anytime I find a blueberry anything, I grab it. This was where we were at the grocery store and I said, I'm going to grab this one. And then Steven grabbed his. So here we go. On the nose, blueberry pie. I'm so happy. Where's Violet from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory when we need her? She would love this. She would chug this.
What I love is that it doesn't matter what the beer style is. And I don't even know if you particularly like blueberries. You just love the color blue so much that it makes the beer taste better. And that's what I love about it.
Well, it's the color, but I also do love blueberries. I love blueberries. I love the taste. I love the flavor of it. I just think it's so wild to put in a beer, and it's just one of those weird, like, yeah, I love it. It's like a guilty pleasure, but not really guilty. But yeah, I'm smelling a lot of fruit. I'm smelling a lot of malt, and I'm smelling a lot of blueberry. I think right now, because it's so prominent and because they use 90 pounds of wild Maine blueberries, that's all I can really smell. So I'm very excited. This is what the can looks like for those of y'all on YouTube. And there's no time like the present. So, Steven, be jealous.
Oh, I'm very jealous. I can't wait to drink my next beer, which is definitely not a blueberry beer. But yeah, it's a style that, it's very New England, first of all. Massachusetts, more a blueberry, blueberries more a Massachusetts thing than a New Hampshire thing, but it's very New England. And I guess these blueberries came from Maine, but, either way. But it's just a style that is very different. And that's something I love about this brewery is that it's not an IPA house. And it's also, it's got brown ales, it's got IPAs, it's got fruited sours, it's got all kinds of stuff going on. What I love is their cans say fresh local ales and lagers. I love when breweries describe themselves as, we brew ales and lagers. It's like, no shit. Like, there's no other choice.
All right.
What do you taste?
Blueberry, of course, but you'd think based off of my description and the brewer's description and my overall excitement, it would just be blueberry juice. And it's not, and I love that. I was kind of like, I hope it's not too much. It's literally just like a kiss of blueberry, honestly. Like, it is fruity. It is a fruited beer, but it's not overpowering. Like, you taste beer, you taste malt, you taste hops. The blueberry is kind of like the first layer, I would say, and it gives it sort of like this accent of a certain direction you want to go in. It is a little creamy. It is very soft. It tastes like blueberry cobbler, but again, it's not like, well, I don't like blueberries, so I'm going to hate this. I mean, no, it's more, like I said, I don't know how else to describe it. It's more of an accent. It's more of an extra. And I think it puts it in such a specific direction of, yeah, it's a beer. This isn't blueberry juice. This isn't a sour. This isn't, like what we had last week, the hazy sour. Like, no, this is a beer with a taste of blueberry, but it's soft and it's a fruit beer and it's
My question is it weedy? Because when I think of a fruit beer, I typically think of wheat, like Belgian wheat, or like they have, Bavarian Pilsner malt in there. So I typically think of like a weediness to it, like you would think of with like Shock Top almost. But
yes, it's there. It's subtle, but it's there. I think many description I read online was like wheat crust earthy. I would go in that direction. I would say yes to all of that. I think it does really play on that, but the back end is very clean almost. It's straight blueberry, but I took a sip, stopped, spoke, took another sip, and I got less blueberry and more of like the malt weediness. And I'm liking that because it's like, I don't want just one thing. As much as I love blueberries, like I don't want just the one specific taste. I want to experience all of it. Good carbonation. It's light carbonation, I would say. It's really easy to go down. It is only 4.9. I don't know if I said this. It is one of their year-rounders, and I think it is a slam dunk, home run, touchdown, goal score.
Bang! Exclamation point!
And Mike agrees. Steven, you're up.
All right, so I am going with an IPA, and it's the Scottys IPA.
You're going with an IPA? Shocking.
I'm IPAing it up. It doesn't say New England or West Coast. It could be either one. We'll see, but it is double dry hopped. Ooh. It's 6.3% ABV. IBUs are at 45. Beer Advocate has it at 87, Untapped at 3.64. Now, from the brewery, Brewer Scotty's favorite recipe has been refined over the past 8 years to showcase American and Australian hops. Oats add a smooth mouthfeel and body to balance the bitterness. It pours an unfiltered gold, and there it is, with a dense, rocky, off-white head. Double dry hopped ale has aromas of melon, lemon, and grapefruit, rounded out by a hint of pine and tropical fruit. The taste follows suit, finishing clean and dry. Now, I'm excited about this. The hops in here, important for an IPA. We've got Chinook, we've got Eldorado, Lemon Drop, Ella, and Equinaut. The malts are Bavarian Pilsner malt, flaked oats, and wheat. And the yeast is British ale yeast.
I thought you were going to say British AF.
The yeast is British AF.
British AF.
So I'm drinking out of a tulip glass. I would say it poured with a solid, maybe thumbnail of white cap, just sort of a dense ivory foam, retained briefly, but it collapsed. It didn't retain that much. It's sort of a ring around the glass. lacing, it's kind of hard to tell from this point, but it's definitely unfiltered. It's hazy. It's golden. SRM, I would call it maybe a 6-ish. It's golden yellow.
Is it hazy or cloudy?
No, I mean it's hazy. Like
hazy.
It's not like thick hazy. It's not that kind of haze when we do like some like triple IPAs where it's like, wow, that is opaque. Yeah. Like it's not like that, but I can't see through this at all. I mean, it's unfiltered for sure. So the question is, New England or West Coast? Here we go.
I feel like depending on his reaction, we're going to know right away. I did read about, looking up the other beers of the brewery, I did read up on the Scottys IPA because I knew you had it and it sounded dope. It looked dope. I feel like it's definitely one of their classic IPAs that is beloved by many people. So,
yeah, the nose is definitely on the New England side. It's juicy, it's tropical. Pineapple, mango, a little bit of lime, maybe even a little strawberry, but definitely in the tropical world of citrus. But there is an earthiness behind it.
Are you on a beach? Are you on a boardwalk? Are you on pavement? Where are you?
Yeah, I think I'm like on a semi-tropical beach, but like my foot's on the pavement. Like I'm maybe in like Santa Monica on the boardwalk there. Like I'm on concrete, but also there's sand around.
Nice.
Thank you.
Nice. Absolutely. Oh, that's dope.
It's more juicy than sappy. I don't get a lot of bitter or bite on the nose, but it's hard to tell because the hops in here, again, it's Chinook, it's Eldorado. I did not say Citra or Mosaic. I didn't say any of the ones that we typically associate with those.
Holy shit.
No Saz, bruh.
Saz.
So I'm going to sip it now.
Do it. Then, hey, listen, when I come visit to LA again, we're going back to Venice Beach. That place was dope. That's all I know you didn't say Venice Beach, but that's all I can think of right now. So
I love both of them.
All right, let's see. He looks very normal. He was looking around, trying to decide. New England. Yep.
No, here's the thing.
Oh!
All right, so up front, you got sweet citrus, yes. You got juicy, yes. But as it develops in your mouth, and this is going to keep being a trend, kind of like the brown ale, it gets more bitter. It does have a lot of bite in the back end. It does have a lot of hops in the back end. Those Chinook and Eldorado hops specifically, I mean, the lemon drop, I think, brings the citrus, but the Chinook, the Eldorado, that stuff really brings a bite. The oats in here make the mouth feel extremely creamy. It's definitely smooth in the mouth. It's smooth going down. I would say it's a little dangerous. I mean, at 6.3%, it's not particularly high ABV, but it doesn't taste like alcohol, but it's got a good bit of hop bite to it. I don't know. It's like, it's a blend of New England and West Coast in a way that's really impressive. I mean, it's
interesting.
The brewery describes it as a New England version of a West Coast IPA. That's one of the ways they described it, and I love that. It's not a New England IPA.
I feel like that's the best of both worlds. I mean, it's like I like West Coast, I like East, I like New England. Well, drink this. You like it. You both like it.
Exactly. Like this is like, it's juicy enough for the juicy people, and it's got enough hop bite for the hoppy people like me. Is it pine resiny, like fill you to your bones, like 120 IBUs? No, it's not. But it's definitely got a bite to it. It's really well balanced between juicy and hop, and I think it's telling that they didn't set out to brew a hazy New England IPA. They set out to brew a New England version of a West Coast IPA, and I think that's
other breweries doing that.
Right. Like this is something really different for me, and I've had so many IPAs that you guys know if you listen to the show, I am so over the juicy IPA style, but this is in a way a juicy IPA that is intriguing to me just because it's a little different.
DDH.
It's very well done. I could keep talking about it, except that I don't have time to keep talking about it, but this is really good. I'm just going to enjoy sipping on this while you talk about
real quick,
some can art.
That brown ale.
Oh, this one. I mean,
and for me, the blueberry. Yeah.
Yeah, the brown ale's phenomenal. It's just that this is one that it just
for the beers that we split off, like we went in our directions.
Yes, you know what I mean? We spoke. Yeah, this is it's a little biased, but
yeah, a little bit. So.
Man, it's good. All right, this is the part of the show where Gabe gets to talk about artwork like an artist with an artist in his hand.
Can Art and Crafts.
Yeah, we're going to go in order as always. We've got the brown ale, the Boneshaker. Now, we've got a guy, as Steven described, he's got a top hat. He honestly looks like Mr. Monopoly, if you're a Monopoly head like me and Steven. He's on one of those old-fashioned bikes, but the artwork is very interesting and unique. It's black and white with Boneshaker in red. The Moat Mountain logo, I think, is great. It's kind of like made into mountains. It's really fun and inviting, and then on the other side you've got just the bike, but it looks kind of like a comic strip, and a guy in a top hat riding an old-fashioned bike with a handlebar mustache. I mean, sign me up. And then we've got the classic Miss B's Blueberry. Now, this one, there's not a lot of artwork. It's kind of just the letters around a yellow circle with blue berries all around, but it does pop a little bit. I do enjoy it. It is one of the, I mean, as you know, favorite color, blue. It is one of the things that really stood out to me. Even Steven's can, it's, you know, very straightforward, but it tells you what it is. And it's got that like old fashioned, like 18th century newspaper font. And I enjoy that. If for those of you watching on YouTube, anytime we play the news and notes drop and that little segment appears, like that's kind of what we got. We got like newspaper font. Though going off of that, but also, and this is a great segue into the other beers, going off of the artwork for all the beers, this brewery is doing really well with it. They've got their main logo, the Moat Mountain, and it changes. It's kind of like in sports where you have your home jersey, you got your away jersey, and then you've got that weird alternate that's just like, where did those colors come from? Like, we're red and blue, but we're wearing pink. Like, it doesn't make sense, but it looks dope. I feel like the Moat Mountain logo changes to each one. There are many other beers that they have that the logo just pops, and it's very specific to what the style is. So for those reasons, I'm going to go with an 8.6 out of 10. I think the artwork's great. I really enjoy it. Bob Ross is here. Bob Ross agrees. Bob Ross is also wearing blue all over him because his favorite color is blue. I can't confirm that, but I'm going to go with it. But anyway, there it is. There we are. And that is another edition of Can Arts and Crafts.
We have to talk about what the brewery has on tap a little bit. And what I want to mention, I like to highlight, you know, a favorite here, there, and the Clockwork Mandarina.
Yeah,
I mean,
it looks dope.
The beer itself is a New England Pale Ale. It's 5.6%. It's fine. But the point is that it's called the Clockwork Mandarina, and the label, the logo on it is the Clockwork Orange logo. It's like a triangle with a little orange wearing the like Clockwork Orange hat with a feather in it. And it's like, and then the O in Moat, like it's their typical, kind of what you were saying, like it's their typical logo, but the O is an orange. It's just, I just saw it and I was like, that's Clockwork Orange, and I'm here for it, and I love it.
For me, the one that stood out the most, the can art, but also the beer. It's their 20 social distancing double IPA. It is very, very cool looking. The can, it's like a purple and it turns into yellow. It's just like really, really eye catching, but the beer itself, I mean, it's made with Galaxy hops. Love the Galaxy hops. Chinook Mosaic. It's a New England style double. It's light orange. I mean, British ale is the yeast. I mean, it just looks very pleasing to the eye, and it sounds incredible.
And like I said, they've got Pilsners, they've got Helles, they've got Session IPA, and they've got a Russian Imperial Stout. They've got a Hefeweiss. They've got West Coast IPAs, East Coast IPAs.
Rye whiskey barrel aged stout.
And we said they're a smokehouse.
Woo!
Listen, let's talk. You want to be hungry for a second? Can I interest you in some Kansas City barbecue chicken
let's do it.
with cheese, bacon, smoked pulled chicken, and red onion?
This ain't like just a regular restaurant. This is like a pub food smokehouse like barbecue.
That was a pizza I was just reading, by the way. That was a smoked barbecue chicken pizza I was just reading to you. Also, if you're interested in an entree, they got a Cajun grilled ribeye, they got Texas style brisket, Carolina style smoked pork, Moat Mountain barbecue meatloaf, and so much more. Ribs, barbacoa, gelatin tuna. Michael, talk to me.
Exclamation point!
Holy shit, you got to check out Moat Mountain Brewing if you're in New Hampshire, and if we ever find ourselves up there, I would love to stay at the inn.
Oh, we're staying at the end because we're crushing the beers, we're crushing the food, and then they're going to roll us out of there upstairs.
Okay, we got one more thing to do before we get out of here, and this one's a doozy.
Last call.
You may have seen this by now, but in case you haven't, a lobster diver in Cape Cod says a humpback whale scooped him up and then spat him back out. And holy shit.
Terrifying.
I don't even know where to start. The guy's name is Michael Packard. He's a lobster diver in Provincetown, Mass. Of course, because why not?
Yeah.
This could only happen in Massachusetts. And last Friday, he was diving for a lobster when all of a sudden everything went dark and he was in the mouth of a humpback whale. And he said he was in the closed mouth for about 30 to 40 seconds before the whale rose to the surface, spat him out. Packard said he was very bruised up, but he had no broken bones. And that was the story. And I have so many questions about this story. Like, so he was diving. Now, when I first heard this story, I was like, how do you not know you're in a whale's mouth? I mean, how do you not recognize?
How do you go, why is it dark? Oh, I'm in a whale.
Mouth? Yeah. But then I realized it. I figured it out. So humpback whales, if you're unfamiliar, I have a little bit of a whale thing. So
here we go.
If you're unfamiliar, humpback whales, they unhinge their jaw. They drive through the water, scooping up everything in their path, and they're looking to eat fish. So what you have to realize is this guy was still in water. It's not like a Pinocchio situation where he was suddenly walking around and Geppetto was in there. He was still in water, and he was in scuba equipment, so he's underwater, and all of a sudden he's in water, but it just got pitch black, and he didn't realize what was going on.
He originally says he thought it was a shark at first, and then he said he felt no teeth, so he was like, okay, I think I might be okay, and he was.
That's the part there's a lot I don't understand, but that's one thing. Like, what do you mean you thought it was a shark? Have you ever seen a shark whose mouth was so big that you figure it could swallow you whole as a 56-year-old dude, and you would, like, that's what would happen to you? Like, you'd think it'd just be black, and you wouldn't feel,
one of the craziest things to me is that I think either he or the article describes it as, like, you can only see like 15, 20 feet in front of you. You know how terrifying it must be to be swimming deep below the surface, and then all of a sudden you're like, what's that in the distance? And all of a sudden you just see something just like appear at, like, that's terrifying. Yeah. You can't see.
He said that he just felt a sort of a truck hit him. He described this like giant force hitting him. He did a Q&A on Reddit, which I watched some of because I have that kind of time in my life. But I have so many questions about this, mostly about the spitting out. Like, what do you mean he spat you out? Did you shoot out? Did you go out the blowhole? Like, what do you mean spat you out?
No, he's not gonna fit out the blowhole.
I know. I'm kidding about that, but whales don't spit. What do you mean he spat you out?
What are we doing?
He went flying through the air and hit the water? Like, what?
So, I want to know how far he got in the stomach. Like,
yeah, how far down did you go?
Like, were you just in the mouth and he was like choking on you and he just, or was he like, did you get swallowed and you were starting to get like digested and you were like, get me out of here?
Well, he wasn't in the stomach. No.
I would hope not.
Yeah. Also, we should point out, this guy could have been seriously injured in a lot of ways. If this whale closed its mouth on his... Because, all right, here's the thing. The whale experts say that whales do not try to harm humans. Like, the whale had no intention of eating this guy at all and probably was like, really
this
not...
This tastes gross.
For all we know, like, whales are smart. The whale could literally have gone to the surface to spit him out on purpose for this guy, literally, to save this guy.
Get out of my way.
But if the whale had closed its mouth on this guy's neck, spine, back, I mean, he could have been seriously injured by accident, and there's a lot of ways this could have gone wrong. This is one of the luckiest dudes in New England.
Yeah, he said no broken bones. I think he said a couple bruises, and that was it.
Yeah,
that's
the whale
crazy.
Absolutely did not want him in his mouth. But this is an interview with the other dude. So he was, diving with somebody else. He was down there to get lobsters, and the person he was with, Joe Francis, he was the charter boat captain. So he's nearby. And the quote says, "I saw Mike come flying out of the water, feet first, with his flipper on, and land back in the water. I jumped aboard the boat. We got him up, got his tank off, got him on the deck, and calmed him down. And he goes, 'Joe, I was in the mouth of a whale.'"
Oh my Lord.
I saw Mike come flying out of the water, feet first, with flippers.
I was in the mouth of a whale. Like, how do you respond to that? Can you imagine being in the mouth of a whale? No.
He does say he just got thrown in the air and he landed in the water. And I was free and I floated there. I mean...
Yeah, I don't know. How do you go back to work on Monday after that?
He's apparently really stoked to get back in the water. He can't wait to...
I read that and I was just like, one, you're a boss, good for you. And two, I mean, I don't know. For me, I'd be like, yeah, I have sick days lined up. I need to use these because...
The thing is, though, the chances of this happening once are like 1 billion to 1. It's just impossible odds. This would never happen. So, like, the chance of it happening again, it's sort of like, well, we got that out of the way. Like,
if it happens again, it's one of those, happened once, shame on me.
Fool me twice.
Fool me twice. That's what it is. Fool me once, shame on the whale.
Fool me eaten by a whale twice.
Buddy, you got to stop going in the water. Like, you need a new profession. I don't know if there's an easier way to hunt lobster, but I
thought with lobster you pull the traps out of the water. I didn't know you had to go down to the traps.
That's crab.
Oh, all right. Well, shows what I know about.
I've gone crabbing before, and it's wild. You have this like net, and then like once it gets in there, you just pull it up, and the thing closes, and he's trapped, and he's like, "Let me out," and then you eat him.
Pincers, and then you feed on him.
And then you eat him.
So this guy is our real life Pinocchio. That's what I'm calling him, and I don't even know where to start with that story, but you can read more about it on all over the internet. It's completely viral. Instagram, Facebook. You've probably heard about it by now, but we weren't going to not talk about it. How could we not?
He got swallowed by a whale.
He got mouthed by a whale. He didn't go down.
He made out with a whale.
He didn't go down the trachea.
That's true, yeah. I want to know how long, like, what was the whale thinking? They're like, this is gross.
Yeah, it's probably... Like
this fish is too big to eat.
One expert described it as the equivalent of like if you're on a bike or something and a fly gets in your mouth. You're like, oh fuck.
God.
Yeah.
Pull over.
All right. Wow. We have to go. I feel like we've been on such a journey today. We've gone through a lot. But thank you guys for sticking with us.
Moat Mountain. Get into it. They got some good stuff.
We'll be back next week. Gabe and I are in Baltimore at the moment, so check out the social medias for that adventure and more to come. We'll see you.
Baltimore Brewery Run.
We'll see you for round 78.
Peace out, guys. See you later.
Cheers.